It's time now for a look at the press with Elitsa Gadeva. And Elitsa, the Trump administration's oil blockade on Cuba has had an effect on the Latin American country. What have you found?
Yeah, Oliver. Well, I want to start by taking a look at this feature article here by the New York Times that talks about Havana's waste crisis. So the paper says that the fuel blockade has aggravated the already bad garbage pickup system in Cuba's capital, and residents there are drowning in trash, like you can see here on the picture. And the article follows the story of this man. His name is Jose Fernandez Zaldivar, and he's a street sweeper. So he makes $9 per month sweeping the streets of Cuba, and he says that sometimes there's so much trash that he cannot even open the door of his own house. And the New York Times says that the mounting heaps of trash are one of the most visible signs of Cuba's crisis, and because of Trump's oil blockade, there's little gasoline basically to run the garbage trucks, and to cope, people have started setting the trash on fire, like you can see here. And when it rains, it's even worse because the streets get clogged with the rainwater. And the paper says that the piles symbolize the extreme consequences of Trump's blockade. And experts warn that this summer mosquitoes can bring disease and illness to the country, Oliver.
And speaking of illness, there is some good news for people suffering from pancreatic cancer.
Yeah, The Guardian here reports on a clinical trial that shows that a new treatment, which is a daily pill, can double survival time in patients with the world's deadliest cancer. And The Guardian calls it one of the biggest breakthroughs in decades. So the trial showed that the new treatment had fewer side effects compared with chemotherapy, and helped patients who had the cancer to live substantially longer. And French paper Libération here also talks about cancer, but this time the drug and pharmaceutics industry. And it writes that China is becoming the world leader in cancer treatment, and the country is heavily investing in research, development, and the production of drugs against cancer. And over the past 20 years, investment grew from 1.7 billion to 14.8 billion. And to learn more, the paper interviewed Stephen Le Gouy, who is a hematologist and the director of Institut Curie Hospital in Paris, that's at the forefront of the fight against cancer. And he fears that the voice of European research could be drowned out by the United States and China.
Let's talk about another treatment, or a procedure rather. Now, it's not so essential to the survival of humanity, but it has been gaining global popularity.
Yeah, it's the hair transplant industry in Turkey. And the Wired magazine here explains how Turkey has hacked the industry, the one that has grown into a massive multi-billion-dollar industry. And research shows that 1.39 million people visited Turkey in 2025 for medical treatment, and 1/3 of them were there for aesthetic treatment. We don't know how many exactly were there for hair transplant, but there are many jokes about that. Like, for example, Turkish Airlines has been nicknamed to Turkish Airlines. And the article says that Turkey's global success cannot be solely explained by the cheap labor there and low costs, but it says that it's instead the result of a lot of innovation there and the bold use of specialized technology and even AI in the technology that they're using.
Hair-raising stuff. Moving on to something completely different, the papers are talking about the struggle of being a farmer in today's economy.
Yeah, the Wall Street Journal here talks about this family of farmers, the Welkers, who discovered that they can make more money by posting on social media than by doing what they do best, which is farming. And they're part of a growing number of influencers who have been monetizing farm life. And they do all sorts of stuff like basically brand sponsorships, and also they've created their own merch, and also their videos are generating huge ad revenue. And now they don't have to solely rely on the soil for their yearly income. In France, however, farmers, this time mountain shepherds, are struggling. Shepherds don't want to be treated like sheep anymore, is the title of this article in Le Monde, and a wordplay here by the newspapers. The newspaper, it talks about young herders who have chosen the profession out of passion, but now they're struggling because, well, it's not well paid and the work conditions aren't great, although the UN has declared 2026 as the International Year of Pastoralism. This appreciation, however, is not shown in their working conditions, so Le Monde dives in their daily reality and their efforts to form unions.
And finally, Paris's metro is also celebrating Paris Saint-Germain's Champions League win.
Yeah, Le Figaro here reports that some names of stations have been changed, like, for example, Europe is now European Champions. Then we also have this one, Paris est Magique, Port du Saint-Cloud, its original name. And my favorite one, Rue du Bac, has been changed to Rue du Back-to-Back. So Oliver and also tourists and locals, be careful because you might get lost.
I wonder if they get knocked out early next year, will they rename it Rue de Back to their bad old ways? Thank you very much for that, Elitsa Gadeva. And that's all we have